Since the beginning of my administration, we've now announced over 1,100 economic development projects with a record-breaking $35 billion in new private sector investment and a record 60,500 new jobs. Today, we're discussing one of Kentucky's signature industries, Kentucky bourbon. I always say that Kentucky produces 95% of the world's bourbon, and the other 5% is counterfeit. Since the start of my administration, we've welcomed more than 100 spirits projects, totaling about $4.4 billion in new investment and creating more than 1,870 new Kentucky jobs. Today, we're celebrating Jackson Purchase Distillery. Founded in 2021 in Hickman, Kentucky, Jackson Purchase is putting the innovation in whiskey to craft exceptional, authentic Kentucky bourbon. Jackson Purchase is one of the fastest growing distillery operations in our country. They've invested over $37 million with more to come. Today, we congratulate Jackson Purchase as they will soon officially fill their 100,000th barrel of bourbon. Thank you for helping to make Kentucky look good around the world. It's an invitation now when you think about what bourbon does. Bourbon introduces Kentucky to parts of the world that don't know much about us, and what they see is a warm welcome and rich character that speaks of our land and our people. So with us today are Lloyd Jones, CEO, and Craig Beam, Master Distiller of Jackson Purchase Distillery, to talk a little bit more about this milestone of their bourbon success in the Commonwealth. Come on up. Welcome.
Thank you, Governor. Craig.
Welcome.
Thank you, Governor.
Please.
We'd like to have you.
Oh, thank you very much. I love it.
There you go.
All right. We're going to see what this is going to do to the hair for the rest of the...
Wow.
Oh, please.
Looks good.
All right.
Go ahead, Craig.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Craig Beam, Master Distiller at Jackson Purchase. I do have my family history is I am kin to Jim Beam. Jim Beam was my great uncle, and I had the opportunity when I started this business to work with my grandfather at Heaven Hill and my father at Heaven Hill, and to carry on the tradition. Now I'm going. I left Heaven Hill in 2014 due to my father's. He contracted ALS, and so I was at Heaven Hill for 32 years. I decided to retire to help him through his last remaining years, and helped with the family business. And then Jackson Purchase found me out and asked me to come to work for them. So I went down to Western Kentucky and met a fellow there, Terry Ballard, with Willits Distillery, who left Willits, and got Terry on board. And we got far Western Kentucky, a little town of Hickman. And that was May of 2021 that we got going and made our first barrel in August 2021. And right now we've been into it about 4 years, so we're getting ready to fill our 100,000 barrels since then. Thank you.
Thank you.
Governor, yeah, this actually we started 4 years ago. This has gone beyond our wildest expectations. We have total involvement with the community. The community's embraced us. Mm-hmm. It's the biggest thing happening in Fulton County in many years, and the total support from local state government has been great. For the state of Kentucky, even their programs really have helped us get along and to this level. And we're not slowing down. We're going to keep going. We keep adding new warehouses, and we look forward to future growth in 2025 through 2026 and 27.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's Jackson Purchase, and we want to thank them for joining us today. They make a delicious product, and they've ensured that Western Kentucky is represented in bourbon on that bourbon trail, and that we see the tourism that comes to other parts of the state being in Western Kentucky too. We're excited about what they do for our new Kentucky home and look forward to seeing them grow. I recognize that right now, just about everything a family needs costs too much. and far too many Kentucky and American families are struggling to pay the bills. That's why, as governor, I've been laser focused on helping bring down the costs for our Kentucky families. That's why we've lowered the income tax multiple times. It's why I froze property taxes on vehicles for 2 years and froze the gas tax when times were toughest. It's why we've lowered the property tax rate for 4 consecutive years, and we've helped save our families money through the homestead tax exemption. Today, we're taking another step to help Kentuckians save. We're announcing that starting July 1, the state gas tax is dropping 1.4 cents per gallon. This decrease means over the last 2 years, we will have decreased the gas tax by 12%. I know every penny counts and that these savings can really add up. Whether you're driving to school, to work, headed to church, or headed out on a family trip, at least here in Kentucky, your gas is going to cost a little bit less starting July 1st. We're going to keep looking for every way we can to save our families that next dollar, to help pay that next bill, at least make paying that next bill a little bit easier. We recognize that families are struggling, and our job is to respond and to help. Speaking of that, next I want to talk about our new Pre-K for All program. Since taking office, I've been committed to doing what's right for our families, for our kids, and for our communities. That's why yesterday we officially launched our Pre-K for All initiative, making pre-K an option for every 4-year-old in Kentucky. We started the day in Louisville, then we headed to Florence, and then to Lexington. Let me tell you, folks are fired up from all parts of the state, from all walks of life, from all professions that see how important this is for our kids, for our parents and caregivers, and how much it can add to our economy. And while I'm here giving the Team Kentucky update, our Lieutenant Governor Jacqueline Coleman and my Senior Advisor Rocky Atkins are holding rallies in Ashland and Hazard, because we're not going to stop until we get this done. Every child deserves a good start. And as excited as I am about our red hot economy in Kentucky, we've got to recognize that there are some ratings and some rankings where we are not living up to the promise of our families and here of our kids. Right now, more than half of Kentucky's children show up for kindergarten not kindergarten ready. And sometimes they never catch up to that achievement gap. Before they ever even step foot through the door of a public school, they're behind. And when it comes to parents and caregivers, they need more opportunity and more options. Now, right now, childcare, especially for all of those years, is just too expensive. And that's if you can find it, because 79 of 120 of Kentucky's counties, nearly 2/3, don't have enough childcare options, are considered childcare deserts, and that includes most all of Eastern Kentucky. So many of our neighbors want to return to work, but they either can't afford it or they can't find the option that lets them. One study shows that a lack of pre-K is also costing our families so much in earnings that they could be investing in themselves or in their kids. The study shows that pre-K parents earn nearly $9,000 extra per year for 6 consecutive years. Yeah, that's right. That means if we institute Pre-K for All in Kentucky, an average Kentucky family that utilizes it will make $54,000 more. Over time, Pre-K for All is also projected to grow Kentucky's workforce by up to 70,000 people. I said earlier, I'm excited about a lot going on in Kentucky. I'm excited that we have the most people working that we've ever had. We have the most jobs filled that we've ever had, and our workforce is the largest we've ever seen. But we keep adding jobs, and we need to make sure we keep growing that workforce so we can bring in the next company and the next one and the next one after that. And I don't ever want to lose a company to another state that's able to look at that company and say, well, we have pre-K for all of our 4-year-olds, meaning you're going to have a larger workforce, meaning your employees are going to have fewer costs than Kentucky. And right now, there are 18 states that can say that. And these aren't just blue states like Colorado. They're states like Alabama and Florida or West Virginia that has had pre-K for 23 years. It's time we have the same so that we can compete with these other states. And like they can currently say, we can say that we're doing the very best for our children. Which brings me to our first action. Yesterday morning, I signed an executive order creating the Team Kentucky Pre-K Advisory Committee. The team is filled with leaders in business like Scott Davis, the chair of the Kentucky Chamber of Commerce, and education leaders like Robbie Fletcher, the Kentucky Commissioner of Education. The committee members come from all over Kentucky and from all walks of life. They're in the public, private, and nonprofit sectors. They're parents, a superintendent, a chamber president, labor leaders. They are Republicans like former State Senator Alice Forgy Kerr. They are Democrats like former House Minority Leader Derek Graham. What binds them all together is that they recognize that regardless of what may have been said in the past here in Frankfurt, pre-K isn't partisan at all. And it lifts up every single family, regardless of where they live, regardless of that family's partisan registration. These folks know it's not about moving Kentucky to the right or the left, but moving it forward and knowing that other states have an advantage on us, whether they are red or blue, until we take this step. We've got more pre-K for all stops coming in Paducah, Bowling Green, and Owensboro because we want this initiative to reach every step of the Commonwealth. Today, I'm also announcing that I've tapped Sam Flynn to lead the Pre-K for All initiative. I'm going to turn it over to him for a couple more comments and then come back on a few more topics. Sam?
Thank you, Governor. I want to thank you for your leadership and your vision on this important effort that will move Kentucky forward. I also want to thank the Governor's Office and the Education and Labor Cabinet for their work on launching this initiative, which will ensure that every Kentucky family has access to pre-K. To do that, the Team Kentucky Pre-K Advisory Committee will conduct 5 town halls across the Commonwealth of Kentucky to hear directly from Kentucky families about the challenges they face with accessibility and affordability of pre-K and early childhood education here in the Commonwealth. First town hall will be held here in Frankfort, Kentucky at the Transportation Cabinet Auditorium, and the next 4 town halls will be held across the Commonwealth at Northern Kentucky University, Western Kentucky University in Bowling Green, Morehead State University, and finally at the Kentucky State Fair. If you are interested in participating in one of these town halls or for joining us at one of the committee's committee meetings, please pre-register on our website, pre-K for all at ky.gov. That's pre-P-R-E-K, the number 4, all.ky.gov. Over the course of the summer, as I mentioned, we will also be hosting committee meetings. They will be public Zoom meetings where all members of the public can join and hear from experts about business, education, workforce development, and childcare as it relates to the state of childcare in Kentucky, pre-K, best practices in other states, what delivery models may work best for Kentucky, and how expanding access to pre-K in the Commonwealth will positively impact our children, our families, our communities, and business, and ultimately make sure, as the governor has noted, that we are competitive with every other state surrounding us and across the country. Again, we invite members of the public to attend these committee meetings and learn alongside our committee members. Of course, we're all busy folks, and not everyone has time to attend a town hall or a Zoom meeting, and we have tried to accommodate that and made it very easy for Kentuckians to make their voices heard to their elected officials. With the launch of our website, we've provided Kentuckians the ability to directly tell their elected representatives that they support pre-K and access for all 4-year-olds. Kentuckians interested in showing that support, again, can go to pre-K4all.ky.gov, enter their information and tell their elected officials why they support expanding pre-K access to all 4-year-olds. Finally, we encourage Kentucky kids to get in on the fun and tell folks why they deserve pre-K. Our website includes a printable coloring page for Kentucky kids to advocate for education through their incredible artwork. Families can submit their artwork to I Deserve Pre-K at ky.gov. The link is on our website, and we look forward to sharing some of their incredible artwork. Our goal is ultimately to make sure that every Kentuckian's voice is heard so that all of our 4-year-olds have access to this life-changing opportunity in pre-K. Thank you, Governor.
All right, next, we're going to talk about grid resilience. Since I've been governor, we've now had 15 federally declared natural disasters in Kentucky. We've lost far too many people, as well as homes and local businesses where our families felt safe. As we continue to rebuild, we have to become more resilient. And that's why we're investing in our electric grids to make them more prepared during emergencies. This means less people will lose power. More people will be able to heat and cool their homes safely, and we will keep our utility workers safe in the toughest of times. So today I'm excited to announce more than $6 million for 4 nonprofit public power utilities. First, we have $1.4 million for the Hopkinsville electric system. This project will let them detect outages in real time and respond to customers more quickly. It'll also provide data that helps customers understand their energy use. Second, we have more than $1.7 million for the Princeton Electric Plant Board. This will greatly enhance the safety and reliability of the power grid in Caldwell County. Next, we have more than $1.6 million for the Owensboro Municipal Utilities. They will relocate a transmission tower and move it further inland due to erosion near the Ohio River, where it now sits. The tower supports over 16,000 residents, as well as critical industry and infrastructure like the Owensboro Riverport and their airport. Finally, we have more than $1.1 million for the Williamstown Utility Commission. This project will provide more than 1,000 residents with more reliable power and quicker response times. So congratulations to these utilities, and to all of our utilities. Thank you for your amazing work during and after these natural disasters. The speed at which you have gotten people's power back up and running is a credit to you and to the hardworking people out there. And to everyone, as a reminder, make sure you slow down around these utility workers. They work really hard. They restore the ability to heat and cool our homes. They work day and night after natural disasters so that we can be safe. Let's make sure they're safe too. All right, today we also have some good news on Kentucky's ongoing mission to clean up and restore unused or abandoned properties known as brownfields, to give them new purpose as economic development and tourism opportunities in our communities, and to create more jobs. Today, we're announcing more than $6 million for 6 communities to give some of these properties new life. The city of Frankfurt is receiving $500,000 to assess, clean up, and repurpose the Home Street corridor. Today, we have Rebecca Hall, the grants manager for the city, as well as Katima Smith-Willis, one of my councilwomen here in Frankfurt that I was proud to vote for and does a great job. Are you also vice mayor? And vice mayor, come on up and let us present you this check. I thought you were. I don't want to mess that up. Okay. Grab part of $500,000. All right, you want to speak on? Please, absolutely.
Well, thank you, Governor. Good afternoon. I am really honored to be here with Rebecca Hall and Commissioner Richardson. The City of Frankfurt is very excited to be awarded $500,000 community-wide brownfield assessment grant from the EPA. This funding will primarily focus on the properties in our Home Street corridor, which is currently poised for redevelopment. The advantages of brownfield funding are twofold. It addresses environmental issues and identifies properties for ripe redevelopment, making a real economic impact on our community. As a mom who spends a lot of time in this area with my son, this investment feels especially meaningful. Home Street isn't just a corridor, it's part of our daily rhythm. To see resources directed here to grow and create opportunity means so much to the families and neighbors who live, work, and play nearby. This is Frankfurt's 4th Brownfield Assessment Award, and previous funding has facilitated a multitude of projects, including the St. Clair Hotel, Hauser Tavern, the Delegate Hotel, the Ashbrook Hotel, and the city's new transit center and the new thoroughbred trail. We're thrilled to have new opportunities in the Home Street area with this award. We'd like to thank the governor's office, state legislators, state and federal EPA offices, and our delegates in Washington for consistently supporting Frankfurt in our efforts to improve the capital city. So thank you all.
I can't top that. Are you sure? Great. Okay, thank you. You were in my notes. I'm glad you're here. Thank you all.
Appreciate it.
Telling our councilman that he wasn't in my notes, but the money's still good. It'll spend. Next, we have over $1 million for the Ballard County Economic and Industrial Development Board to repurpose the old Barlo School. Today, we have a video from Ken Davis, who I saw about a week ago and was talking about how excited he is about this project. He's the president of Kentucky West and a volunteer with the Ballard County Economic Industrial Development Board, which is a mouthful, but he's going to talk about the importance of the funding.
My name's Kevin Davis. I'm the president of Kentucky West, Inc. and a volunteer for the Ballard County Economic Industrial Development Board. The Brownfields Cleanup Grant for the Barlo School Revitalization Project in Barlo, Kentucky will begin the cleaning up process of contamination and securing the building. The plans are to use it as a multi-purpose facility, including community gatherings and a research and training center. I'd like to thank Governor Beshear, the Brownfields project team, and all the people that helped with the process of getting the application for the grant. Thank you all so much.
Also receiving funding are the Gateway Area Development District, the Cumberland Valley Area Development District, the Louisville Jefferson County Metro Government, and the Kentucky Department for Environmental Protection. Next, we're going to talk about driver's licensing. We've always taken the approach that when there are challenges, this administration is going to run towards them and work to fix them. And we've certainly seen some challenges in our regional driver's licensing offices. As some may recall, this was normally done through our county clerks. But when a session came through where Real ID was up, there was a push to move it to the state. And therefore, we had to build out from scratch what many other states have had for a long time, regional DMVs. So I want to provide some updates on driver's licensing and how we're working to take care of more Kentuckians than ever before. First, 15-year-olds. Since I signed House Bill 15 and it went into effect under an emergency provision on April 1st, nearly 15,000 of the state's 15-year-olds have earned their driver's permits after successfully passing the written test. That means this system was able on a very short notice to take on this extra influx. We believe there's about 50 to 60,000 15-year-olds at the moment, and now issue more than 15,000 additional credentials. The Transportation Cabinet's re-engineered their license system to accommodate our newest drivers and continues to work with the Kentucky State Police on the testing. You can visit the KSP website to search for available appointments. If you can't get an appointment, check back the following day because new appointments are added to the website at 8 a.m. each weekday. Now, some more welcome news from the front lines of our regional offices. In addition to the staff across our 34 regional offices, we have now added over 100 contracted full-time positions that are mostly filled just over the last several months. We recognize that we need more people as more Kentuckians are coming in for services, and so we're trying to grow our staff to get people through the line that much more quickly. These new staff members are assisting with all licensing services, including those permits for 15-year-olds, Real ID, as well as license renewal needs. Today, I want to announce 2 additional skip the line options. So the challenges facing the driver's license offices are threefold. Number one, it's the new vision testing, which you have an option to get done privately, or you can come in and get it done in the DMV. More people are coming into the regional offices to do that than could have ever been anticipated, and that's creating longer lines. If you're renewing your license and you go to your private optometrist, then you can submit that and never have to come in at all, never get in a line at all. So that's one. The second is the new permitting for 15-year-olds. It's adding, those 50 to 60,000 additional people to the system. But the third is Real ID. And I know the Real ID requirements have been around for a long time, but they've been extended over and over and over. And now that the deadline is real, we're seeing a crush of folks that want to come in and get it. Sure, could have gotten it done in the past, but it's our job to take the folks that are now coming in and get them through that process as quickly as we can. So we've talked about different skip the line options. Here are a couple of new ones. First, you can visit any regional office and you can get your vision screening there, and that's at no cost. Admittedly, if you go to an optometrist, it's going to cost you something. You can skip the line. If that's worth it to you and you have the means to do it, that will make your life a little bit easier, and it'll free up staff for other people. But you can visit the regional office. You can get the vision screening at no charge. And after the screening, they can give you a passcode. And you can go home and do all the rest online. In other words, the only wait you'll have is for the vision screening, not all the other lines that you have to go through. And you can get that done pretty quickly. Or you can visit the office for your vision screening and then fill out the renewal form while you're there. Leave the renewal form and they'll process it. And then they will email you a temporary license. Again, those are two new ways in addition to the others that we've laid out there about how you can skip the line. And if you do that, you'll reduce the overall lines. You can find out more about these options. And the best way to do it is if you have an upcoming need, you can take an online quiz at drive.ky.gov where you can find all the different ways that you can qualify, again, to skip that line and renew online or by mail. Again, we're committed to getting this done. We've surged staff. We've got new software that's helping us manage the lines, but we're going to keep working because we know people aren't having the positive experience they should. And we're going to keep grinding until we make sure we've addressed all the current challenges that we have. And we're able to do this service in a way that people leave our regional offices pleased and without having been there too long. All right, today I have another update on the May tornadoes and our recovery efforts. First, we currently have 4 disaster recovery centers open in the impacted areas. Those on the recent tornado side are at the Laurel County Public Library, that's in Laurel, the Center for Rural Development in Pulaski, the County Courthouse in Russell, and the Trigg County EOC in Trigg County. That plus all of these other locations are where people can apply for FEMA aid and receive other assistance for any of the natural disasters whose deadline hasn't been here. The location and hours are on our flood and tornado resource pages. Please check those pages for the most recent information, addresses, and hours of the disaster recovery centers. As a reminder, residents and business owners who sustain losses in the designated counties for one of these events can apply for assistance at disasterassistance.gov by calling FEMA at 800-621-3362 or by using the FEMA app. An update on FEMA assistance that's come out first for the May tornado event. They have approved about $1.043 million in individual assistance, and they've already dispersed a little over $1.003 million of that. As a reminder, tornadoes and floods are different. In floods, most people don't have flood insurance that get hit. Thus, they can go through the FEMA process a little bit faster. Most people who have homeowners insurance, though, are protected to the extent of their policy from tornadoes. And so when a tornado hits, you've got to go through your insurance policy first. And after that, you can apply for FEMA aid. So it'll take a little longer. And typically there's less overall paid out because more people are insured, which is ultimately a good thing for them because the limits aren't that $40,000 that FEMA has. If you look at other needs assistance on top of the individual assistance, they've approved nearly $600,000. That's the immediate help that people can get and dispersed more than $550,000. For the May tornado event, the deadline for disaster assistance is July 23rd, 2025. We continue to pray for the 19 people that we lost. We're now down to 5 patients that are currently hospitalized. 2 are in critical condition, 3 are in fair condition. That's a good update since the last time we were able to give it. We're sheltering 158 individuals. That's just in a state program. We have 16 families in travel trailers with 104 additional trailers on the way and being hooked up in Levi Jackson. That's now a city park. 18 households have transitioned out of our program. That's a good sign. But often what happens is we have a certain number of families that we're sheltering for, say, the first 4 to 5 weeks. When we have a better option like the travel trailers, they grow, because folks who've been staying with family or staying in a hotel on their own see an option where they're not worried about tomorrow. They know that they're covered for at least months. So we're making progress housing families in those travel trailers, and I want to thank everybody for stepping up and helping. This recovery is the fastest that I've ever seen. We had families in travel trailers in less than a week. That's never happened before. The actual debris removal is happening faster than we've ever seen before. So we're grateful for everybody who's helping out. We also have some good news. This week, 6 Kentucky counties affected by the severe weather are eligible for disaster food benefits. This includes folks who wouldn't normally qualify for SNAP benefits. People who live and work in Caldwell, Laurel, Pulaski, Russell, Trigg, and Union counties can begin applying today, June 5th. You got to apply by June 12th. And in all 120 counties, those already receiving SNAP benefits can apply for a replacement of benefits due to power outages or if they had other impacts. To apply, call DCBS's call center or apply at your local DCBS office or a disaster recovery center. We have personnel that can help you with that in Laurel and Pulaski counties. Citizens, along with the city, county, and our Kentucky Transportation Cabinet crews, have now collected 12,182 tons of debris and moved it to the Laurel Ridge landfill. That is a significant amount of debris removal for such a short period of time. Starting yesterday, Laurel County's hired a contractor utilizing our state master agreement. They're going to be removing debris along county right-of-ways. The City of London is handling its own debris removal within city-maintained properties. Transportation Cabinet crews remain focused on both tornado damage as well as the extensive flood damage from April and February. In Pulaski County, all signals are back online with the exception of Light 22 on U.S. Highway 27 at Somerset. State crews are removing debris from right-of-ways in eastern Pulaski County. Final debris was collected from state routes Wednesday in Laurel County, and crews will continue to collect curbside debris from state right-of-ways. Regarding the most recent May 30th storm in Washington County, crews assisted local officials last Friday, helping to clear a county road to provide initial access to where a tornado took a life and harmed a number of others. Our goal is not just to rebuild roads, but to rebuild communities and to rebuild lives. If you'd like to help, remember the Team Kentucky Storm Relief Fund is open. We're now using it for the last 3 natural disasters, and so far more than $1.6 million in donations from 6,907 donors has come in. That included a $50,000 donation from a private individual in Villa Hills, Kentucky. Thank you to that donor and to every donor, big or small. The first priority is to pay for the funerals. First thing we do in Kentucky is grieve together, and none of these families should have to wait months or years for reimbursement. That this should be their worry at this moment when they're also looking likely at a house that's been destroyed, a business that's been destroyed. Let's take this one burden off of them, and then let's carry a little bit of their grief as long as they'll let us. Updates on previous storms, the FEMA numbers for the April flooding. Thus far in individual assistance, we've seen more than $20.7 million approved and $20.2 million dispersed. Other needs assistance from April, more than $8.4 million approved. I think almost all that has been dispersed. The deadline for FEMA assistance has been extended to July 25th for those April storms. Let's make sure we get everyone into one of those disaster recovery centers. But let me tell you, compared to what we've seen in the past, those are really good numbers. People are having a better experience in these FEMA centers than what we saw after many natural disasters. I want to thank these individual FEMA workers who are in from all over the country. They've left their families and communities for weeks, now months on end to help us. So let's make sure, even if we're frustrated, that we treat them with respect and make sure that we continue to work to get the very best outcomes for our people. If you look at the February flooding, in individual assistance, we have now seen more than $46 million approved to be dispersed to our people, and almost all of it has already gone out to our people. Other needs assistance, $18 million dispersed to Kentuckians. Now, we also had a January event. That was the ice sandwich, which is a funny name for a really terrible storm that hit us. It killed 7 Kentuckians, and it brought freezing rain, ice, sleet, and snow to 100 counties. It caused significant damage. Federal government denied our request for FEMA aid, even though it qualifies. I've seen enough of these now to know it qualifies under the law. So we have appealed the denial, and we hope that the federal government will change its mind. We still await a decision on public assistance from the May tornadoes, from the April flooding, as well as hazard mitigation. So public assistance is all the costs of the counties and the state government. If you look back to even just April, if FEMA doesn't come through and approve it, under which they take on about 75% of the costs, the counties and the state are going to eat about $225+ million. That's going to blow a hole in everyone's budget. We hope the federal government will step up and be there for these communities like they were in the past, recognizing that our federal government ought to be there on a community's darkest day. Hazard mitigation is what we call the buyout program. It's really important, especially for those 2 floods, for those that live in Eastern Kentucky, because we've got 7 high ground sites right now where we're going to be building hundreds of safe homes that'll never, ever flood. And for those that get hazard mitigation, they can use it to receive compensation, to move from where they are in the floodplain, and then use those dollars to move up to one of these high ground communities. The idea in the past, we've never had a plan where housing's being built, where someone that was just hit by a natural disaster would know where they can go and still live in their communities. That's available right now, but only if we get hazard mitigation for that, especially April event. All right, we've got our newest Healthy Kentucky Home update. This is Men's Health Month. So usually Dr. Stack joins me for the first Team Kentucky update each month and outlines his Healthy Kentucky Home Challenge. But today, Dr. Stack is on the road, so I'm filling in. June is Men's Health Month. So over the next 4 weeks, our Healthy Kentucky Home is focused on the importance of men's health with tips that everyone can learn from. Here's a quick video from me and Dr. Stack where we break down the small steps that can make a big difference in men's health.
According to the Centers for Disease Control, nearly 15% of U.S. men reported being in fair or poor health in 2023. Additionally, 42% of adult men aged 20 and older were obese, 13% reported smoking cigarettes, and another 52% had high blood pressure.
Sadly, the life expectancy for U.S. men is nearly 6 years less than women. A lot of times this is because men are at a higher risk for medical problems like heart disease, lung cancer, and diabetes. Men also face some unique health problems that don't affect women, like prostate cancer. When I was 17 years old, my dad was diagnosed with prostate cancer. He's only here with us today because a screening caught it, and ultimately surgery was able to address the issue. So it's important that we take steps to lower these risks so we can stay healthy for ourselves and those we love. Understanding our health needs, physical and mental, and taking action can help us live long, healthier lives, I know, because my dad's still with me.
Compared to women, men are more likely to make unhealthy choices, including what we put on our plates. Good nutrition is critical for good health. Eating healthy means following a healthy eating pattern that includes a variety of nutritious foods, such as fruits, vegetables, grains, dairy, and proteins. Healthy eating also means limiting foods with added sugar, salt, and saturated or trans fats.
Along with a healthy diet, exercise is another important thing we can do to stay healthy. Everyone benefits from regular physical activity, and for me, it helps with stress. So 3 miles a morning on a treadmill, and I am ready for my day. To learn more about men's health resources, or healthy habits for your daily routine, please visit the Our Healthy Kentucky Home campaign website at ourhealthykyhome.ky.gov and join our Healthy Kentucky Home journey today, where we are working together to ensure that every Kentuckian achieves better health. Our goal is to help Kentuckians take small steps to live healthier lives. If you haven't taken part yet, we hope you will. Visit our Healthy Kentucky Home website on the screen where you can learn more. All right, as both Attorney General and now Governor, It's always been my priority to make sure our communities are places where people aren't just safe, but feel safe. That's why today we're recognizing Gun Violence Awareness Day and Wear Orange Weekend, and that's from June 6th through June 8th. Each year we lose far too many Kentuckians to gun violence. And this is personal to me. I lost one of my closest friends almost 2 years ago. Those we lose are close friends, their fathers, mothers, grandparents, people that we love and care about, irreplaceable Kentuckians taken far too soon. We will continue to grieve, pray for, and support these families. I believe we can protect everyone's Second Amendment rights while also having real conversations about doing something more to protect our people. I'd like to think that Democrats and Republicans, red or blue, of any ideology, can come together and say, if we know somebody is right on the brink of going and killing a lot of people, certainly we should be able to step in and do something about it. That's why I've supported red flag laws, which might not stop all violence, might not have even saved Tommy's life, but it could stop some violence, and it would save other lives. Florida has a red flag law. Florida. This is not a red state or blue state deal. It's just one where we trust our courts to protect our people's rights. We go to our courts to determine custody for children. Certainly, we can trust them to protect people's Second Amendment rights, but also protect the lives of Kentuckians. And we've got to start making sure that people are getting the help they need long before it reaches that point. If you or someone you know is struggling and needs help, I urge you to call the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. Here in Kentucky, we want you to know that we're here for you, and there are people who can help. This is how we live out our Kentucky values. So this weekend, I encourage all Kentuckians to wear orange to help raise awareness about gun violence and to honor the lives of survivors and victims. All right, finally, our team, Kentucky All-Stars. Now, Kentucky may be known as a basketball state, but soon we're going to be known as a baseball state too. That's right. This year, Kentucky has two incredible schools playing in the NCAA Division I Baseball Super Regional Round, one step away from the College World Series. First up, the University of Louisville, led by head coach Dan McDonnell, is advancing to their first Super Regional appearance since 2022, the 10th time in program history. Even more exciting, this is on Louisville's home turf, which means we're going to welcome so many visitors to our new Kentucky home tomorrow, Friday, June 6th at 3 p.m. when the Cards take on Miami. Next up is Murray State University, led by head coach Dan Shurka, who made program history, advancing to their first Super Regional Series in program history. They face Duke on Saturday, June 7th at 1 p.m. in North Carolina. So let's make sure that all Kentuckians are rooting for Murray State, and like we always do, rooting against Duke. It's been another historic year for sports in the Commonwealth. So to all the players, coaches, managers, and staff, thank you for making us look good. You are this week's Team Kentucky All-Stars. All right, with that, we'll open it up to questions. We have one journalist in person and 4 on the line. So, Carolina?
Governor, on driver's licensing, are these 100 additional full-time workers enough to make meaningful change? What changes will this additional staffing actually contribute to? And are there other things being considered, potentially like extended hours?
Yeah. Yeah, we're working on a number of different initiatives at our regional driver's licensing offices, including additional hours, pop-up events where we can go to counties that don't have an office. We did a major one-day testing for 15-year-olds where we got a huge number of them through their test. So these 100 individuals will make a difference. They will reduce wait time, but it won't be enough in and of itself. And so we continue to invest in new software to try to change our practices. The number one thing, though, is those that can skip the line. If they will skip the line, it'll address a lot of those challenges that are out there. So we need people to take advantage of some of these options. If you can't afford to go see an optometrist, come in, do the vision screening, get that passcode, and then go home and fill out everything. And you'll just been in it for a little bit. But we're going to continue to work to get better. It looks like we've got to find one new location in Louisville here soon, but we're committed to having the right location for that new office. All right, now we've got Zara Hirji from Bloomberg News.
Hey, thanks so much. Two questions tied to the disaster assistance. So you already mentioned how the requests for public assistance and hazard mitigation tied to the May storms are still pending. And I believe you also said that hazard mitigation request for the April storms is still pending. Can you confirm the status of the public assistance request for the April storms? And then secondly, if hazard mitigation is denied, is the state considering its own potential buyout programs or looking at any other federal programs that could help fill that funding gap?
Yeah, the public assistance request for the April flooding is pending. And we really need it approved because it will be hundreds of millions of dollars that the federal government would normally help out with that will then fall on the state and counties, and the state would need additional flexibility we don't have in law right now to help counties. That's typically why we create a safe fund when the legislature is in session. And that typically helps float the counties while they wait for FEMA reimbursement. This would be with no FEMA reimbursement at all. It would be crushing to us. It'd be crushing to any state that goes through it. And if I have the most recent information, we haven't seen public assistance approved since our February flooding event, either in Kentucky or anywhere else around the country. And if that has happened, I certainly want to hear about it so that we can continue to push. We call the White House every day. We're hoping to break through because this is a real need for Kentucky. The failure to approve hazard mitigation is tough. It's not as tough as the public assistance would be, but it's tough for us because we want our people to be safe. And if you live in a place that floods over and over and over, but that's the only property you've ever owned, it's a really important government program that says we know you're going to have to leave a place that you love, but we're going to compensate you so that you can start your new life in a place that you'll never have to worry about that flooding ever again. And we've seen a huge appetite for it. Many people thought that folks in Eastern Kentucky after the 2022 flooding wouldn't move, yet the buyout program has worked really well, and we're moving people to safety because of it. As a state, if we learn that hazard mitigation going forward is never going to be approved, we're going to have to look at options. We're going to have to look at what we can do to help these individuals. We've got great nonprofit partners. We've got the Team Kentucky Flooding Relief Fund from that major 2022, but that won't be enough. And some of it won't be applicable to the next flood and the one after that and the one after that. The thing that gets me is that the federal government is saying, we need people to be more resilient. We need you to build more resiliently. And we need some people to move, but we're going to take away the program that allows you to do it. So we certainly hope that'll be turned back on and is necessary for our people, but also people all around the country. All right, Tom Latek, Kentucky Today.
Thank you, Governor, and good afternoon to you. Saw news this morning, Brown-Forman stock has taken a huge hit today due to a weak earnings report. And we've also heard this week about 3 distilleries that have tax liens filed against them. Is Kentucky's bourbon boom maybe coming to an end?
I think Kentucky's bourbon boom can and will continue, but the types of tariffs, what's going on coming out of our federal government, the reaction from Canada after the President of the United States said it should be the 51st state is impacting our bourbon industry and significantly. This tariff policy is disastrous all the way across the board. It's raising costs on all of our American families. And the president that's doing it, that's raising these tariffs, had told us during the campaign he was going to help make paying the bills a little bit easier. And now he's saying, well, maybe your kids have too many toys. We need the federal government to knock it off. The bourbon industry is really important to us. Exporting is critical, not just to the big distilleries, but the craft distilleries as well. There isn't an economist out there that thinks this tariff policy is anything other than a disaster. So I hope that DC will listen to those that know what they're talking about and pull back these on again, off again, what originally across the board, then reciprocal, then industry specific. Now I think there's a claim that you can do a company specific tariff. I mean, this isn't how trade policy works, nor should it be how trade policy works. Karen Czar.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Governor. Governor, could you give a more in-depth view of the travel trailer program? And by that, I mean, we've had it now for 3.5 years, I believe, 2.5, 3.5. Once they're not in use, where do they go? How many go to other states? Do we buy new? How do we deal with repairs? Do we put them in storage? What happens to them in the time between they're needed for another disaster? Thank you.
The travel trailer program is our intermediate housing program. So when a natural disaster hits, the first thing we try to do is get people somewhere safe, into a shelter, into a hotel, into a state park. And while that works for days, maybe weeks, most people who've lost their home, whose apartment complex has been destroyed, is looking at up to a year of being dislocated, maybe even more. And so we run this program to say, we've got a spot for you. The travel trailer program requires certain infrastructure. These aren't just RVs that you pull up. You've got to have the water, the sewer, the power. It's got to be in a safe place. Thankfully, in London, Levi Jackson had the best infrastructure we've seen from a site that we didn't come in and ultimately improve it. Normally, if we go to, say, a campground at one of our state parks, it's $250,000 to $500,000 to get it up ready to go. That's why I asked the legislature during this last session to give us $5 million in a $17 billion budget so that we can go out there and get 10 sites strategically around the state up to that level so we could haul and install instead of having to take months to do that infrastructure work while people are dislocated. My hope is that we'll do it in the next budget. I get this wasn't a budget year, but we've got to be better and better and better every time we go through a natural disaster. If we don't learn from it, shame on us, because the next group of people deserve the very best. And it's my job to make sure we provide it to them. So we get our travel trailers in a couple of different ways. Some we've had stored, some we purchase, but what happens most of the time is the state, for us, typically Louisiana, but you also sometimes see it from Florida, will surplus their travel trailers that they've used that are in good condition to us. Now, we then make the offer to other states when they're hit by a natural disaster to surplus the ones we have so that they can use them. Where we really need to get, especially in the Southeast, is states working together that all run a similar type of program that we do, that Louisiana does, that Florida does, and that North Carolina has started, and help each other out. You know, when this hits, help each other out. Make sure that if we have them available and they're not being used, they're there for that next state, because that next state will be there for us. We maintain them. We check on them regularly while they're in use. And then when people move out of them, we do a couple different things. We surplus some to local governments, their command centers in times of natural disaster. We've had some school systems that have had some needs and others. And so that's typically the life cycle of the travel trailer. But there's a way in the future, again, states working together to be more efficient and to be more nimble in responding. It's a really good program. There are some other states that didn't use it or didn't start it in time, and you can see the discontent of some of those populations that could have been helped earlier. Finally, Bodie Brooks.
Thank you, Governor. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
All righty, I got
can,
two questions for you.
question.
Well, first, your thoughts on Senator Robin Webb's exit from the Democratic Party this past Friday. She's spoken very, positively of your leadership, while she was in the party, but throughout the past week, many of her interviews have stated that she felt like the party has left her. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't think any party has left anyone. I think Senator Webb is looking at future races and the challenge that may or may not be there. Listen, right now, the the National Republican Party, because she's talking about the National Democratic Party. The National Republican Party is trying to pass the one big anything but beautiful bill that's going to kick 17 million people off their health care coverage. That is more than 3.5 times the entire population of Kentucky. That's how many Americans that right now can see a doctor will have no health care coverage. It's cruel. It's going to bankrupt rural hospitals, possibly including systems that are in Senator Webb's district. So I certainly don't think that if you believe in health care, if you believe that people should be able to see a doctor when they're sick, that any party is leaving you. But from a practical sense, before the switch, we had 30 Republicans and 7 Democrats in the Senate. Now we have 31 Republicans and 6 Democrats in the Senate. From a number standpoint, it doesn't really change my life from last week to this week. Did you have one more? Then we got away with just one, or maybe I just.
I did. I just got unmuted, sir.
All right.
There we go. We've also received a credible tip about the Robertson County Sheriff allegedly causing a drunken scene at a county courthouse a few days ago. And from my understanding, a plea was entered for a drunken disagreement outside of the school there in December of 2023, and another for a DUI. And here in just the last 15 minutes, I've been informed that the fiscal court has voted to send a letter to you about his removal. Has this been brought to your attention, and are you able to comment on any possible action at this time?
So I don't know of any recent incident, and I'll certainly take a look at anything the fiscal court sends me. I think the last I checked in on it, he'd submitted 2 Alford pleas, and that would mean that if he has committed another offense, he'll end up serving both of those sentences, which would certainly be a big change provided or if that happens. But any letter a fiscal court sends to me, especially with concerns about public safety, is something I'll take a real close look at. All right, that's this week's Team Kentucky Update. We'll see you next week.